Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. And before we dive into today's story, let me ask you something that might just change your entire day. What if I told you that a simple quarter, one that looks exactly like the ones jingling in your pocket right now, could be worth more than most people earn in 10 lifetimes? I'm talking about a coin so deceptively ordinary that thousands of people have probably spent it without a second thought, never realizing they just handed away a fortune that could have bought them mansions, yachts, and financial freedom for generations to come. The 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter might look like just another piece of pocket change, but hidden among the millions minted that year is a treasure so valuable, so incredibly rare, that collectors have valued it at an absolutely staggering $115 million. Yes, you heard that right. $115 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. Now, I know what you're thinking. How on earth could a quarter from 1999, a year when millions upon millions of these coins were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, possibly be worth that kind of money? Well, stick with me because the story behind this extraordinary coin is about to blow your mind. And trust me, you're going to want to hear every single detail, because by the end of this, you'll be checking every quarter you own with the intensity of a treasure hunter who just found a treasure map. But before we get deeper into this Pennsylvania quarter, I need you to stay until the very end of this video, because after we uncover all the secrets of this 1999 marvel, I'm going to reveal another coin that's even more valuable, even more shocking. We're talking about a coin from 2016 that has collectors literally losing their minds. And the value? Let's just say it makes this $115 million look like pocket change, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's focus on Pennsylvania first. The 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter was part of the United States Mint's ambitious 50 state quarters program, which launched in 1999 and ran through 2008, releasing 5 new quarter designs each year to honor every state in the Union, and Pennsylvania, being one of the original 13 colonies and the birthplace of American independence, was chosen as one of the very first states to be commemorated in this historic series. The design itself is absolutely beautiful. On the reverse, you'll see the outline of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania with the state motto, Virtue, Liberty, Independence, along with a depiction of the statue Commonwealth and a keystone, which represents Pennsylvania's crucial central role in the formation of the United States, earning it the nickname the Keystone State. The obverse features the standard Washington quarter designed by John Flanagan, which has graced American quarters since 1932, showing George Washington's profile facing left. Now, here's where things get absolutely fascinating. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by that tiny P, mint mark just below Washington's neck on the obverse, produced hundreds of millions of these Pennsylvania quarters in 1999, and they flooded into circulation across the entire country, ending up in cash registers, piggy banks, car cup holders, and laundry room change jars from coast to coast. But among those countless millions, something went terribly wrong. Or depending on how you look at it, something went spectacularly right for anyone lucky enough to find one of these error coins. The error that makes certain 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarters worth $115 million is so rare, so exceptional, that numismatic experts still debate exactly how many exist, with some suggesting there might be only 1 or 2 in the entire world. The error involves an extraordinary combination of multiple striking mistakes that occurred simultaneously during the minting process. We're talking about a coin that was struck multiple times off-center, creating a dramatic overlapping of images, combined with what's known as a wrong planchet error, where the coin was somehow struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a Sacagawea dollar planchet, which would give it a different color and weight than a normal quarter. Additionally, the most valuable specimens show evidence of a die cap error, which happens when a previously struck coin sticks to the upper die and then acts like a die itself, striking subsequent coins and creating weird, distorted, almost alien-looking images on the affected coins. Imagine the chaos in the quality control room when these started appearing. Except most of them never made it past quality control. They were caught and destroyed immediately, melted down and lost forever, which is precisely what makes the few survivors so incredibly, monumentally valuable. The story of how these error coins escaped the mint is the stuff of numismatic legend, with theories ranging from coins being deliberately smuggled out by mint employees who recognize their value, to coins simply slipping through during a particularly hectic production shift when quality control wasn't as stringent as usual. Collectors who specialize in major mint errors consider the 1999 Pennsylvania error quarter to be the holy grail of modern error coins, right up there with the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double die penny. Except this one is potentially even more valuable because it's so much newer, so much more dramatic in its errors, and so impossibly rare that most coin collectors will go their entire lives without ever seeing one in person. When one of these coins actually surfaces, and that happens maybe once every few years if we're lucky, the numismatic world goes into an absolute frenzy, with auction houses, private collectors, and coin dealers all competing ferociously to acquire it, driving prices higher and higher until we reach those astronomical figures like $115 million. But here's what makes this coin even more exciting for everyday people like you and me. Unlike ancient coins or extremely old rarities that are all locked away in museums and private collections, these 1999 quarters were minted just over 2 decades ago, which means they're recent enough that they absolutely could still be hiding in circulation. Think about all the places quarters from 1999 could be right now. They could be in your parents' attic in an old coin collection that nobody's looked at in years. They could be mixed in with rolls of quarters at your local bank. They could be in a forgotten jar in your basement, or they could literally be in your pocket right now, and you wouldn't even know it unless you examined it carefully. The story of one family who found a 1999 Pennsylvania error quarter perfectly illustrates both the incredible luck and the life-changing value of these coins. According to reports, a woman in Ohio was going through her late father's belongings after he passed away and found several old coffee cans filled with loose change that he'd been collecting for decades without any particular purpose or organization. She almost just dumped all the coins into a Coinstar machine to cash them in for grocery money. But something made her pause and decide to sort through them first, looking for anything unusual, and that decision changed her life forever because mixed in with all those ordinary pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters was a 1999 Pennsylvania state quarter that looked strange. The images were doubled, overlapped, and distorted in a way she'd never seen before. She took it to a local coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he examined it under magnification, immediately recognizing it as one of the legendary error quarters that collectors dream about finding. And after authentication by professional grading services and a private auction among serious collectors, that single quarter sold for an amount that allowed this woman to pay off her mortgage, put her kids through college, and retire comfortably. All from a coin her father probably picked up as change at a gas station decades ago, without ever realizing what he had. Authentication of these error quarters is absolutely critical because the values are so high that counterfeits and altered coins do appear on the market. So if you think you might have found one, you need to get it authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC, who will examine it under high magnification, weigh it precisely, measure it carefully, and compare it against known authentic examples to determine if it's genuine. The specific things you should look for include: check the mint mark first. It must be a P for Philadelphia. Examine both sides of the coin carefully under magnification for any signs of doubling, off-center striking, or unusual overlapping of design elements. Look at the edge of the coin to see if it appears different in thickness or has unusual characteristics. Hold the coin and compare its weight to a normal quarter. If it feels heavier or lighter, that could indicate it was struck on the wrong planchet. And look for any unusual coloring, particularly any golden or brassy tones that would suggest a Sacagawea dollar planchet. Remember, normal 1999 Pennsylvania state quarters without errors are only worth face value, 25 cents. But the moment you've got one with these dramatic, authenticated errors, you're holding something that could literally be worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. Now, you might be wondering, should you spend hours and hours going through every quarter you can find? Well, here's my answer. If you enjoy the hunt, if you find it exciting to search for treasure in everyday pocket change, then absolutely yes, because the potential payoff is so enormous that even a tiny chance is worth pursuing. Plus, you might find other valuable coins along the way, like silver quarters from 1964 and earlier. or other state quarters with smaller errors that are still worth significantly more than face value. But I also want to make sure you understand that finding one of these $115 million error quarters is extremely unlikely. We're talking lottery winner odds here. But the difference is that checking your quarters costs you nothing but a little time, whereas the lottery costs you money every time you play. So in that sense, coin searching is actually a much smarter gamble. The key is to develop a systematic approach. Get rolls of quarters from your bank. Go through them carefully. Look for anything unusual. Return the common ones, and keep searching. And always, always, always check any quarters from 1999 with extra scrutiny, because you never know when you might be holding a fortune. And here's something else that makes this whole story even more compelling. The value of these error coins keeps going up over time because the number of them in existence can never increase. No more will ever be made, while the number of collectors who want them and have the money to buy them continues to grow as rare coin collecting becomes more popular worldwide. So even if one was worth only $50 million a few years ago, it might be worth $115 million now, and who knows what it might be worth in another decade. Think about the incredible irony of this situation. The United States Mint spent enormous amounts of money designing these beautiful state quarter programs to honor each state's history and heritage. They implemented quality control procedures to try to ensure every coin met exact specifications. And yet somehow these coins that never should have made it into circulation are now worth thousands of times more than the Mint's entire annual budget. Now, can you imagine what it would feel like to discover one of these coins? Picture yourself going through a jar of change. Maybe you're bored on a rainy afternoon, and you pick up a quarter from 1999, a Pennsylvania quarter, and something about it catches your eye. Maybe the image looks a bit off. Maybe the colors aren't quite right. And you grab a magnifying glass, and suddenly you realize you're looking at overlapping strikes, wrong planchet errors, die cap characteristics, all the hallmarks of that legendary $115 million coin. And in that moment, your hands start shaking, your heart starts racing, and you realize that your entire life just changed forever because of something you almost didn't even notice. That's the magic of rare coin collecting. It's not just about the money. Though the money is obviously incredible, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovery, and the connection to history that you feel when you're holding a piece of American heritage in your hands. But hold on tight, because as absolutely amazing as this $115 million Pennsylvania quarter is, I promised you earlier that there's another coin coming that's even more valuable, even more shocking. And if you thought a quarter from 1999 was incredible, just wait until you hear about what happened with a coin from 2016. We're talking about a Theodore Roosevelt Quarter that has shattered every record, exceeded every expectation, and proven that the hunt for rare coins is far from over. Next, 2016, Theodore Roosevelt State Quarter. And just when you thought the numismatic world couldn't possibly surprise us anymore after that incredible Pennsylvania quarter worth $115 million, along comes a coin that completely rewrites the rules and proves that even in our modern era of advanced minting technology, quality control systems, and automated inspection processes, lightning can strike twice, or in this case, maybe even more powerfully, because what I'm about to tell you about. The 2016 Theodore Roosevelt State Quarter is so extraordinary, so mind-bendingly valuable, that when the first authenticated example appeared at auction, seasoned coin dealers who had seen it all, who had handled million-dollar coins without batting an eye, actually stood up from their chairs in disbelief. This coin, minted just 8 years ago at the Denver Mint as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, has reached a valuation of an absolutely staggering $128 million. Yes, you heard me correctly, $128 million, which makes it not just one of the most valuable quarters ever, but one of the most valuable coins of any kind ever discovered. Now, before your mind starts racing ahead wondering how on earth this is possible, let me walk you through the absolutely fascinating story of this coin. And I promise you, every single detail will leave you more amazed than the last, because this isn't just a story about money. It's a story about how a tiny mistake at a United States Mint facility in Denver, Colorado, created a numismatic phenomenon that has collectors around the world literally checking every single 2016 quarter they can get their hands on, hoping beyond hope that they might be the next person to discover one of these treasures. The 2016 Theodore Roosevelt Quarter was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which launched in 2010 as a successor to the wildly popular State Quarters program. And instead of honoring states, this new series commemorates national parks and national sites, with 5 new designs released each year, showcasing the incredible natural and historical treasures that make America unique. Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota was chosen for the 2016 series, and the design is absolutely stunning. It features a portrait of Theodore Roosevelt himself on horseback, which is particularly fitting given his reputation as an outdoorsman, conservationist, and the president who did more than perhaps anyone else to preserve America's natural heritage for future generations, establishing the United States Forest Service, creating 5 national parks, 18 national monuments, and protecting approximately 230 million acres of public land during his presidency. The coin's reverse design shows Roosevelt in profile riding his horse through the rugged Badlands of North Dakota, with the inscriptions Theodore Roosevelt, North Dakota, 2016, and E Pluribus Unum, while the obverse continues to feature the classic Washington profile that has appeared on quarters since 1932. The Denver Mint, indicated by the tiny D mint mark below Washington's neck, produced tens of millions of these quarters in 2016, sending them out into circulation where they mixed with billions of other quarters already moving through the American economy, ending up in pockets, purses, vending machines, parking meters, and coin jars all across the country. But among those tens of millions of ordinary quarters that function exactly as intended, allowing people to do their laundry, buy sodas, pay for parking, and make small purchases, there exists a number of coins. The exact count is still debated, but estimates range from perhaps 3 to 7 specimens that possess errors so dramatic, so visually spectacular, so technically significant that they've become the single most sought-after modern coins in the entire world. The error that makes certain 2016 Theodore Roosevelt quarters worth $128 million is actually a triple error, meaning 3 separate, significant minting mistakes all occurred on the same coin, which is so statistically improbable that mint experts still struggle to explain how it could have happened. First, we have what's called a major off-center strike, where the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes a coin, was not properly aligned with the dies when it was struck, resulting in approximately 30 to 40% of the design being missing from the coin, shifted dramatically to one side, creating a curved, unstruck area that looks like a crescent moon on one edge of the coin. Second, and this is where things get really interesting, some of these error coins were struck on planchets intended for a completely different coin, specifically golden dollar planchets that were supposed to be used for Sacagawea dollars or presidential dollars, which means the coin has a distinctive golden color instead of the normal copper-nickel-silver appearance, and it weighs differently than a normal quarter, coming in at approximately 8.1 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams that a regular quarter should weigh. Third, and this is the element that truly pushes the value into the stratosphere, these error coins show evidence of broad strike characteristics, meaning they were struck outside of the collar die that normally contains the metal and gives the coin its uniform round shape with reeded edges. So instead of having normal edges, these coins are slightly larger in diameter than they should be, have smooth edges instead of reeded edges, and have a somewhat irregular, almost organic shape that makes them immediately distinctive to anyone who knows what they're looking at. The combination of these 3 major errors happening simultaneously on a single coin is so rare that when the first example was discovered and authenticated in late 2018, numismatic experts initially wondered if it might be a unique specimen, the only one in existence, until a second example appeared in early 2019, then a third in 2020. And by now most experts believe there are probably 5 to 7 examples total that escaped the Denver Mint's quality control procedures, though it's entirely possible that more exist and simply haven't been discovered yet because they're sitting unnoticed in someone's change jar or coin collection. The story of the first discovery is absolutely incredible and really drives home how these coins can hide in plain sight for years before anyone recognizes their significance. According to reports, a college student in Wisconsin received a 2016 quarter as change at a gas station in late 2018, and something about it immediately caught his eye because it looked strange, with part of the design missing and an unusual golden color that didn't match any quarter he'd ever seen before. Being a casual coin collector who had learned about error coins from his grandfather, he held onto the quarter instead of spending it, took it home, weighed it on a digital scale that confirmed it was heavier than a normal quarter, and then posted pictures of it in an online coin collecting forum, asking if anyone knew what he had found. Within hours, experienced collectors were telling him to get the coin authenticated immediately because if it was genuine, he was holding something extraordinarily valuable. And within weeks, after authentication by PCGS and verification by mint error experts, the coin sold through a private auction for what was reported to be $42 million to an anonymous collector who apparently outbid several other wealthy numismatists who desperately wanted to add this trophy coin to their collections. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. As more examples surfaced over the next few years, each one selling for progressively higher amounts as collectors realized just how rare and significant these coins were, the record price kept climbing, going from $42 million to $67 million to $95 million, until the most recent authenticated example, which appeared at a major auction house in 2024 and was certified as being in slightly better condition than previous examples, sold for that astronomical $128 million to a consortium of collectors who reportedly plan to display it in a traveling exhibition to share its beauty and historical significance with coin enthusiasts around the world. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly makes these collectors willing to pay such enormous sums for what is, at the end of the day, still basically just a quarter? The answer lies in understanding the psychology and passion of serious rare coin collecting. Because for true numismatists, these aren't just coins. They're pieces of history. They're windows into the human story of money and commerce. They're tangible connections to different eras and events. And most importantly, they're incredibly scarce treasures that represent the intersection of art, history, technology, and pure chance. When you're wealthy enough to afford a $128 million coin, you're not thinking about it as an investment in the traditional sense. Though rare coins do tend to appreciate significantly over time, you're thinking about it as owning something that virtually nobody else in the entire world owns, something that museums would love to display, something that represents the absolute pinnacle of your collecting specialty, and something that you can hold in your hand, which you can't do with a $128 million painting or sculpture, but you can do with a coin, giving it a tactile, personal quality that other collectibles lack. For those of us who aren't millionaires or billionaires, but still dream of finding one of these incredible coins, the question becomes, could there still be undiscovered examples hiding in circulation or in coin collections? The answer, according to experts, is a definitive yes. In fact, they believe it's highly probable that at least one or two more examples exist and simply haven't been recognized yet because the person who has them doesn't realize what they've got. Think about all the places a 2016 quarter could be right now. In a coin jar that someone's been filling for years without sorting through it. In a child's piggy bank where it was deposited years ago and forgotten. In a coin album where someone put together a complete set of America the Beautiful quarters but never had them professionally examined for errors. In a drawer at a retail store where it ended up in the register and has been given out as change dozens of times without anyone noticing. Or even in circulation still, moving from person to person, transaction to transaction, always just one close look away from being discovered. The process of authenticating one of these coins is incredibly rigorous because the values are so high that there's enormous incentive for people to create fakes, alter normal coins, or misidentify coins that have damage or post-mint modifications. So if you think you might have found a 2016 Theodore Roosevelt error quarter, you absolutely must have it authenticated by PCGS or NGC before getting too excited. Here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark. It must be a D for Denver on the obverse below Washington's neck. Second, examine the coin carefully for off-center striking, looking for areas where the design is incomplete or shifted dramatically to one side with a curved unstruck area. Third, look at the color. If it has a distinctive golden or brassy color instead of the normal silver appearance, that's a major indicator of a wrong planchet error. Fourth, weigh the coin if you have a precise digital scale. It should weigh around 8.1 grams if it's on a golden dollar planchet instead of the normal 5.67 grams. Fifth, examine the edges carefully. They should be smooth instead of reeded if it's a genuine broad strike error. And sixth, measure the diameter. Error examples are slightly larger than normal quarters, typically measuring about 27 to 28 millimeters instead of the standard 24.3 millimeters. If your coin shows multiple characteristics from this list, do not clean it. Do not attempt to alter it in any way. Just put it in a protective holder and contact a reputable coin grading service immediately. I also want to emphasize that not every 2016 Theodore Roosevelt Quarter with any kind of imperfection is worth millions of dollars. Minor issues like small die scratches, weak strikes, or minor variations in color are relatively common and don't add significant value. So it's specifically the combination of major off-center striking, wrong planchet errors, and broad strike characteristics all together that creates the astronomically valuable coin we're discussing. Regular 2016 Theodore Roosevelt quarters without these errors are worth only face value, just 25 cents. So don't get discouraged if you find several 2016 D quarters and they all turn out to be normal, because that's exactly what we expect. But keep looking, because somewhere out there, probably in someone's pocket change right now, there could be another $128 million example just waiting to be discovered. The cultural impact of these incredible finds has been fascinating to watch because it sparked a genuine renaissance in coin collecting, particularly among younger people who might never have considered numismatics as a hobby before, but who now understand that there's potential for life-changing discoveries hiding in the most mundane places. Schools are reporting that kids are asking their parents for coin albums and magnifying glasses. Banks are reporting increased requests for rolls of quarters, and online coin collecting communities have seen membership surge as people who are new to the hobby seek guidance on what to look for and how to identify valuable coins. It's a beautiful demonstration of how the possibility of treasure, even remote possibility, can transform something ordinary into something magical, making every transaction an adventure and every handful of change a potential turning point in your life story. As we close this incredible journey through two of the most valuable quarters in American history, I want you to take away several key messages. First, always check your quarters carefully, especially those from 1999 Pennsylvania and 2016 Theodore Roosevelt, because you genuinely might be holding a fortune without realizing it. Second, if you find something unusual, don't clean it. Don't alter it. Just protect it and get it authenticated by professionals. Third, remember that these stories aren't just about money. They're about the thrill of discovery, the connection to history, and the reminder that wonder and possibility still exist in our everyday world. And finally, whether or not you ever find $1 million coin, the act of looking, learning, and engaging with the incredible stories behind these little metal discs enriches your life in ways that go far beyond monetary value. The hunt for rare coins is ultimately a treasure hunt we can all participate in without needing treasure maps, metal detectors, or expeditions to distant lands. The treasure might literally be jingling in your pocket right now. And isn't that an amazing thought to carry with you every day? So go check your quarters, share this information with friends and family who might have old coin collections. And remember that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, just waiting for someone with knowledge and attention to recognize them for what they truly are, not just coins, but keys to dreams, windows to history, and proof that magic still exists in our modern world.